children with autism are 9 times more likely to go to the ER with psychiatric problems. Now, the one key one that I see on there often is violence. Physical violence from autistic people. Unless they are the football helmet wearing, can't speak autistic people, they're probably not fucking violent. You are probably fucking volatile and fucking antagonistic. See, here's the thing. When we're being abused, you pretend it's our fault. You believe wives' tales. You make us go to doctors who are not fucking qualified. God damn it. So let's call these dumb cunts.
Hello, you have reached the National Helpline of the Autism Society of America. The helpline provides information and referrals and is not a crisis line. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please call or text 988 to speak with a crisis specialist. Our offices are currently closed.
We called 988!
Number, zip code, email, reason for your call at the beep.
Hola, se ha comunicado con la línea de ayuda nacional de la Autism Society of America. La línea de ayuda proporciona información y referencias y no es una línea de crisis. Si usted o alguien que conoce está en crisis, llame o envíe un mensaje de texto al 988 y hable con un especialista en crisis. Nuestras oficinas están actualmente cerradas. Indique su nombre, número, código postal, correo electrónico y el motivo de su llamada cuando escuche el pitido.
I am sorry, but that's not a valid extension. Please try again.
I didn't press the fucking extension. You start speaking Spanish fucking immediately. Jesus Christ.
It's not a crisis line. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please call or text 988 and speak with a crisis specialist. Our offices are currently closed. Please leave your name, number, zip code, email, and a reason for your call at the beep.
Hola, se ha comunicado con la línea de ayuda nacional de
Fucking Christ. You call that fucking help? Fine, we'll call 988 again.
You've reached the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We are here to help. Para español, oprime número 2. To reach the Veterans Crisis Line, if you are a U.S. veteran or service member or are calling about one, press 1. To connect to specialized support for LGBTQ+ people under the age of 25, press 3. Otherwise, please remain on the line while we route your call to a Lifeline crisis counselor. Your call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance purposes. Please stay on the line while your call is directed to an available responder. Thank you for calling Lifeline. This is Maureen, and how can I help you?
Hello, I tried calling the autism helpline, and they said to call 988. I call everybody that I'm told to call.
Oh, okay. All right. And what's your name?
Sean Schwartz.
Okay, Sean. And Sean, what area are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tillamook.
Okay. All right. And Sean, what's going on for you tonight?
Well, ma'am, I'm autistic and I'm in a state of crisis. Instead of people trying to understand
Okay.
that or what that means for somebody with autism, they keep trying to change the definitions to fit whatever it takes for them to send us somewhere else. The problem is that that's gotten a lot of people killed, and law enforcement, rather than taking it seriously, blows me off like I'm retarded. They don't try to understand the difference between somebody who's autistic and somebody who's on drugs. So I just get treated like I'm on drugs and abused almost daily.
So you've been felt that you've just been thrown to just different areas, huh? That must
Yes,
be
ma'am.
really tough.
One of the things about autism is that the worst thing for us is separating us from our support network. I haven't had a support network since before Natalie Bollinger was killed. Police didn't want to do their jobs for a retarded person, so they just blew me off. And the thing is, I get that everywhere I go. I'm homeless, but I didn't choose to be homeless. I was finally able to get someone to listen to me who understood autism, who had a son who was autistic, and she helped me to get disability. Once I had disability, I was supposed to have help. Like, I was told, hey, once you jump through all these hoops, all these people who are hurting you, it'll be a felony for them to hurt you. But then Tamara quit her job. That was in 2017, and ever since then, I've had to take abuse while people who don't understand autism take advantage of me without listening to a word I have to say. They talk over me every time. They try to turn everything into something for suicide hotline, and I'm not trying to kill myself. If I was trying to kill myself, I wouldn't call suicide hotline. I'd just kill myself. I would never call the police to stop me from killing myself. I would just do it. 100% of the time, when somebody is telling you that they are suicidal, 100% of the time there's an issue, an underlying issue that is not the suicide that they're needing help with and haven't received it. So then everybody wants to turn autism into schizophrenia or try to throw you into the suicide friggin' watch thing, and then next thing you know, you have no rights because you're called mentally ill because when you were abused and you were in crisis, you were sent to a hospital. You don't need to go to a hospital when you're in crisis if all they're going to do is take your Medicare and Medicaid money. And that's all these hospitals are about. I was forced into homelessness because of abuse against autism. Abuse against myself and another autistic adult named Natalie Bollinger. Natalie Bollinger's dead now. The police didn't do their job when it came to her, and they didn't do their job when it came to me. They outright refused, and now Natalie Bollinger is pushing daisies. She's dead as a doornail. That's the thing about being autistic, is that nobody leaves us alone. They are relentless. Natalie was young and pretty, so a lot of people had a big old crush on her. She was also a drug dealer, so she was a lot more popular than just any average pretty girl. I was homeless, and I also assisted the homeless. I was the homeless liaison for like 7 years. I passed out blankets when people were new to the community. I showed them where the services were. Here, people won't even tell me where they are. Or they'll tell me where they are, but it's with a big old long, this is how you get there thing. I mean, really, it'd be easier if they had the address. So I got the list for the address. The thing is that I've been abused by every law enforcement officer that I have encountered here. I've been treated with complete and total disrespect. I go to the Office of Aging and Disability. I've literally been in Tillamook for over almost 7 months now, and I've gotten no assistance here except for them to run me around and tell me to get into housing. The thing is, housing doesn't stop the abuse. Housing is not a guarantee, and the thing is that when somebody who is autistic, a disabled and at-risk adult, is being abused and they can't take care of themselves and they can't provide for themselves the things that are needed to do what they're being asked, they're supposed to be provided. But instead of that happening, I get victimized by the police and by these services for asking. I get talked over because it's all local. Tillamook is a small community, so everybody knows everybody. I got to see the sheriff's sheriff's department and the police department going to all these agencies that blew me off when at the very beginning, when I first got here, what they should have done is work together with the police to guarantee my safety instead of making me go to a bunch of places with a bunch of drug addicts where it's decidedly unsafe because I will be taken advantage of. I'm not just physically disabled, but my physical disabilities are something that's preyed on often by law enforcement and by the local community. It's not just the homeless. I get treated like I'm a homeless junkie by police and the rest of the community. And then I get treated like I'm a police and the rest of the community by a bunch of homeless junkies. They want me to give them stuff I have nothing to give. I try to explain that I'm easy to take advantage of. It's not because I'm gullible, it's because I'm desperate. There's a big difference between, when a woman's being beaten on and, a guy says, hey, I'll help you out, just here's my puppy, here's my candy, get in my vehicle, and you're gullible enough to do it. There's another thing where you're like, all right, I'm fucking running for my fucking life from my ex, pardon my French. There's somebody with a van right there and a puppy. That's an escape route. That's a way to get away from the abuse. So for me, I have to try every lead that I'm sent to, and police officers keep sending me to places that are threatening me and harassing me for trying. Also, I have sensory overload issues and I'm stuck in public, which means that there's a lot of extraneous noise that distracts me and takes my concentration away. Now, as far as my safety goes, police officers made me unsafe and I have to turn them in. But I don't have any sort of advocacy, and I've called advocacy places. I've gone to advocacy places. They talk over me. They don't listen to my experience. They don't listen to what it's like for me to be out here being abused. They won't look at any of the evidence like they're supposed to. They're not worried about my safety. I mean, they're not going to care about me until I have to break into somebody's house so I don't freeze to death. And obviously, I'd rather freeze to death than break into somebody's house. I do want to thank you for not throwing me on the whole suicide bandwagon thing like I often get. I was not sent to you guys by anybody because I'm trying to commit suicide or anything like that. I was sent to you because you're supposed to be a crisis line.
Okay. Yeah. So, man, you have just been through so much, and feeling, just kind of overheard, really overheard. And you have a voice. You definitely have a voice.
I've also got a YouTube channel I use my voice on, but most of the people that get on there, they hate me because of Natalie. She didn't ask to be different, and neither did I. She's dead because mandated reporters didn't do their jobs in Colorado. I'm being abused in Oregon because mandated reporters in Colorado, Nebraska, Virginia, Wyoming, South Dakota, Montana, California, and of course, Washington State and Oregon. They all seem to think that when you're autistic, you're retarded and it's okay to blow you off and to send you to other services. I'm not capable of doing this, but I'm being forced to. It's overwhelming for me, and I'm being forced to. I can't protect myself from people's assumptions or the harm that they do because of assumptions. A lot of people, when they find out I'm autistic, they say stuff like, well, your people are smart, figure it out. Like, if you said that to a Jew, they'd be pissed. I heard your people are good with numbers. The thing about autism is that nobody understands autism. They don't understand that it's rated at 3 levels, and 2 of those levels I'm a part of. The first one, we're easygoing. We're the least likely people to be physically assaultive. We're also the most likely to be physically assaulted. The type 2 is when we're in a state of crisis or somebody who's considered medium functioning, whereas I am considered high functioning because of my IQ, but my IQ doesn't take away from the fact that I still need assistance. When I'm in a state of crisis, I basically revert to a level 2, and level 3 autism is basically low functioning autistic people, and the way that they have it typed up as far as high, medium, and low functioning is entirely dismissive of autism altogether, because the level of our ability to function correlates directly to our current environment. If we're having to live with an alcoholic and we've been abused by alcoholics and we have to be heard, and that alcoholic says that they'll help us, but we don't find out they're an alcoholic till we get there, then we're stuck in that environment. We've wasted all of our resources. I am disabled. I get a disability check. The problem is I'm being sent around to a lot of different places that are not assisting me in turning stuff into the Adult Protective Services. All of these agencies that I'm sent to get an advocate, they never have an advocate. It's always somebody who's trying to talk over me and tell me to do the housing thing. And then once I've got housing, they just think that their job is over. They think that that makes the abuse stop, and it doesn't. Especially not when you've been made a target by the news and the news media and by social media and by a bunch of meth addicts. Now there's a name, it's Natalie Bollinger, and somebody needs to look up the name Natalie Bollinger and listen to that stuff and understand that people hate me because of that stuff and they hurt me because of that stuff, that I can't get heard by a law enforcement officer even before or after that stuff because I'm autistic and a homeless male. And a lot of the services that I go to are run by females that, you know, I have to try to understand that they're taught to talk to men differently than they talk to women. But the thing is that when we need to be heard, we don't need to be coddled. We don't need to be told how brave we are. We don't need to be told how we're doing a good thing. What we need is for somebody to listen that's actually going to do something. Like when we're sent to the police have to actually listen. When they don't listen to what we're saying or take it seriously, it lets us know that we have to be afraid of the police. And nobody stops to understand that either. So the biggest issue that I'm having is that people keep talking over me and sending me to other numbers to send me to other numbers that I never get advocacy from. These agencies that I'm sent to, none of them actually try advocating. None of them actually try assisting me in the things that I need help with. They want to change the subject over and over again and make it about housing. Then there's the fact that on the weekends, that's when I have it the worst, because there's nobody to call in case of an emergency. If somebody assaults me on the weekends, there's nobody for me to call. I already know I can't call the police. They're not going to listen. They're going to blow me off. They're going to tell me I can only do it orally, and then I'll make an oral report, and then they don't do anything with it. And then when I try to turn it in, I'm told I have to go to the police, and that since I didn't make a written report right away, that it's my fault. Meanwhile, I don't have a place to do a written report because I'm stuck in public. I'm lucky that I can talk. I have to save my phone call time for when I'm not curled up on the floor of my car in the fetal position having a mental breakdown. And then, of course, with all the junkies out here that have problems because they're on drugs, people aren't going to bother to differentiate. They're just going to see a homeless junkie. I don't even do drugs.
Okay. So, Sean, I wanted, you mentioned that you had a caseworker and then she left. That's the only caseworker you've had?
I had a caseworker named Tamara back in 2017. She was the only actual caseworker, but she quit. All the rest of them were...
What department was she in?
She was with Region 1, Nebraska. I did have someone...
Did you live in Nebraska?
She did, but she moved in 2017. her son was autistic, and after looking at what I was going through, she cried from looking at what I'm going through, and that was before Natalie was killed. She quit her job about, I'm sorry, people do that a lot, and I can't handle it, but I have to handle it, even though it hurts me, and people don't understand that it literally hurts me to be stuck in public like this. I have to be able to have some downtime away from it, and there's no such thing. I didn't mean to get sidetracked, but them revving their engines does that, or two people talking at once does that, or somebody talking over me to start telling a story about themselves. When somebody, especially an autistic person, is in a state of crisis, it's not that they're confused, it's that people keep talking over them, and those people get confused. Most of us are very good at explaining what's going on if we can get someone to listen. The problem is getting people to listen. Now, the caseworker that I had in Colorado, his name was, they always do it a two-part thing. It's a dual diagnosis clinic that they send you to when you're poor. You get a caseworker and a therapist. The problem is that my caseworker was Jeff Ritter and my therapist was Kara Heller, and they were just riding the clock and taking our money. And every person that I've had that was supposed to do that job since has just ridden the clock and taken our money. And I've recorded the conversations like I was told to. I was told all of the stuff that I was told for self-advocacy, I've followed. All of the stuff that I was told that I needed to do to try to turn in stalkers, I followed. The problem is that when I go in alone, they don't see somebody who's disabled because my disabilities aren't immediately apparent. So they deny my rights as a disabled person, and they ignore the safety risks and issues for me out on the streets. For me to go to the hospital and try to turn it in, I got assaulted at the Tillamook Hospital. I've been trying to turn that in since January 28th. They keep sending me around to different services that don't advocate. They don't try to advocate. They don't try to even listen. They send me into a state of crisis by saying, all right, well, even though the law says that you're supposed to go to a friend or family member and try to turn this in right away, we're instead going to set you for an appointment 30 days from now. And then we're going to set you up for another appointment and another appointment and another appointment. And I'm going through that here in Tillamook after already going through that in at least 3 other states where once I get housing, I'm ignored. Now, the thing about 2 of those states is that I never got housing. I just ran through the hoops for housing while stuck homeless, while being victimized, while the police try to run me off everywhere that I go, while drug addicts won't leave me alone, while I'm sent to services that are full of drug addicts that are also supposed to have mandated reporters. And when I'm taken advantage of by the drug addicts, the mandated reporters do nothing but tell me I need to take care of it myself. I can't take care of it myself. If I could, Natalie Bollinger would still be alive.
Okay. So, since you've been in Oregon, Sean, have you had any caseworker at all?
No, ma'am, just therapists.
Okay. And then, how long have you been in Oregon?
About 1.5 years now, I think.
Okay.
I was in Hood River, and then I was in the Dells, and then I was here. I was sent to a bunch of different places for advocacy that I have to go to in person because of my disabilities. But there's also a lot of crimes that were committed in those places because my money isn't enough to live on. I was ripped off for about $30,000 of my disability money in just the last 3 years.
Oh. Okay. Would you be open, and I know you've gone through a gazillion places, and this might have been a place that you have contacted. I don't know. I'll put it out. But at the state level, it sounds like you've been doing work through Tillamook. But at the state level, who runs all of developmental disability services, because you should be able to get a caseworker to work with the things that you need.
Yes, ma'am. That's what they told me in Nebraska and Colorado too. That's also what I was told in. That's what they told me in Nebraska and Colorado too. Instead, I got the runaround. Instead of sending me to the, instead of when I go to them about the abuse that I'm taking, by law they're supposed to get a hold of the adult protective services and local law enforcement. But even local law enforcement hasn't done that. The services that I went to that basically threw me around in a circle for the last 6 months here in Tillamook. Finally, on Thursday and Friday, that they finally realized, hey, this guy isn't retarded and he's not going to quit and he knows his rights and he's not going to let us walk all over him. But they pulled the same thing. The talking over me, the telling me what to do, dismissing my disabilities, telling me, oh, well, I know somebody who's autistic. And, and there's things about me like, can you hear the traffic outside of my vehicle?
Yeah, I can.
I can't get away from it. No matter where I go, there's traffic, and I can't think over it. When people are talking, I can't think over them talking, which is also very scary because I can't turn it off. Medications don't fix it. It doesn't fix it for any of us. All of us who have Asperger's, which is high-functioning autism, a very specific type, medications don't turn off the sensory overload. It doesn't work for any of us. All medications do is zombify us and make us stupid. If we can't take care of ourselves already, giving us medications that get us so doped up that we don't know what's going on is obviously not going to assist the problem. I'm going to dig for a pen because otherwise I have to try to record the phone numbers because that way I can at least have some way to remember them, but then I have to find a way to go back through the recordings, which I don't always, especially right now, have the ability to do.
Makes it hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I live in my car, and it's, like I said, I've been living in it just here in Oregon for a year and a half. I get fatigued easily. I have back issues and knee issues and ankle issues and issues even writing my name some days because of assaults by the police over Natalie getting her brains blown out. I tried telling people what the laws are and that I'd already gone through it with a lawyer before Natalie was killed. Several of them, matter of fact, and they all told me you need a friend or family member or all these services are going to blow you off. They're going to talk all over you. They know exactly what they're doing. They're going to pretend like they don't know what they're doing. And if you don't have a friend or family member who's there and informed, you're screwed. We're not even allowed to pick up a case of somebody who's considered mentally ill. That's any mental illness if it's something that they admit to. Like if somebody who's a client goes to them and says, all right, well, I'm bipolar, but I was abused and I need help turning this in, they're not allowed to pick it up because that person said that they're bipolar, so they have to have a friend or family member there and present. Meanwhile, my predators take advantage of this by using the term mentally ill and just slandering me to the public. It got to the point where I had to go public about the abuse. Oh, I found a pen. Yes, I'm so sorry it took so long.
Oh, good. No problem.
But I have a lot of paperwork because all of these people that I'm sent to for advocacy, none of them were caseworkers. None of them did the job of a caseworker. None of them stopped to recognize the abuse that I'm going through or the fact that I'm in a state of crisis. And what they do instead is sorry, I have to wait for the car to go by. What was I saying?
That nobody, you didn't get a caseworker, basically.
Right. So they keep sending me to these therapists instead of somebody with the Adult Protection Agency. And these therapists, all they do is set me up for therapy. and try to talk me out of turning in my predators. They try to convince me that it's never going to work, that law enforcement here is so corrupt that it's not going to work. Dr. Danelle Boggs, I had a conversation with her. She's one of the therapists here. And instead of her doing the job that she was supposed to be doing, the job that I was referred to her for, instead it became a meeting where I was sitting down listening to her complain about local law enforcement. And I recorded that too. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
I was sent there for advocacy and for a caseworker. And I got a therapist who set me up for therapy, who set me up for another therapy appointment and another one. I've got 2 different therapists there, and then they want me to go to TFCC, who wanted to set me up for a therapy appointment on the 25th. So now I've got one at TFCC on the 25th, and I've got one at TCCHC on the 25th. And going there isn't doing any good because they're not looking at evidence, they're not listening to me, they're not following any of the laws concerning mandated or the safety of the victim.
Yeah, okay. So let me give you the State Department, okay?
All right, so what's it called in specific?
Developmental disabilities.
Do what?
And you want to ask for a caseworker?
Stop, please stop. Time out. I didn't hear you the first time. What's the place called?
It's Oregon Developmental Disability Services.
All right.
And their number is 503 945 5811.
All right. Is there a...
And so what you want to let them... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So what you want to let them know, this is at the state level. This doesn't mean that you're going down to Salem. But they cover everybody, okay? So let them know that you've just been getting, going to therapists. You have not received a caseworker. You need a caseworker to help advocate for you so that you can get all of the services that you so deserve.
Yes, ma'am, but one of those services is that I need to be able to turn in my predators because they have access to me still. And, all right, so could you repeat that so I can make sure that I write it down?
They work closely. They work closely with the Adult Protective Services.
Yes, ma'am, that's one of the issues that I've had the most is being sent from one place to another, for each of them to send me to another. I was literally on my way to drive to Salem, but I got lost coming through the woods because there was a guy who stalked me from Hood River all the way here to Tillamook. So I basically, when I got here to Tillamook and I started going the other direction out of town to go south, he was at a rest area there, so I flipped around and came back up to town. And then he started coming back up to town wherever I was, because I have to say on my YouTube channel where I'm at. If I don't say on my YouTube channel where I'm at, then people get to pretend that I'm not being honest about things, or that I'm trying to hide from people, or things like that. When in reality, if I'm in Tillamook, Oregon, and I need help in Tillamook, Oregon, I say I need help in Tillamook, Oregon. My disability is going to get taken away because I can't process the paperwork.
Well, a caseworker would be able to help you with the paperwork.
Yes, ma'am. If I was to get one, that'd be the first time. But also, you said it's Salem and it's statewide and works with DHS.
Yeah.
Or not DHS, APS.
Yeah.
Therapy.
And this is the government Department of Health Services. They're under the Department of Health Services.
Yes, ma'am. I do want to let you know that I've called well over 100 places since I got to Oregon that are supposed to help with this. And nearly every one of them has blown me off because of my disabilities. So hopefully this will work.
Oh,
Also, I want to say that all of my experiences prior to today have been very negative. The last time that I tried calling 988, I needed a crisis situation. I didn't need them to try to push the suicide thing. So I want to thank you very much for not doing that to me. That is so dehumanizing. That literally pushes people to suicide. So I want to thank you for not being that person.
Sure. And I'm hopeful that this one will help you. The Oregon Developmental Disability, the state, the number I gave you. If not, keep calling us back, but I'm hopeful that this will help you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, with
because,
all of my experiences
you
before...
come under... what's that?
With all of my experiences before with this number, I don't call it until literally every other person has been exhausted and failed. If it wasn't for you, I'd be freaking out right now, and I'd be complaining on my YouTube channel about how much 988 sucks again. But you were about to say something, and I could tell it was important, and I shouldn't have interrupted you because I need to hear it.
Yeah. So because under there's a federal definition with autism, having autism, you have the right and you have the to receive services from the state, and so you have the right to have a caseworker. That's really important to get.
Yes, ma'am. That's what they told me
and
in
that
all
is
of the
your
other
right
cases.
to have that.
The problem is that without that, I've been railroaded for 6 years. So it needs to be brought up that I should have had one from the start. I told them I was supposed to. I told them I was trying. I did have a lady from the Autism Society in Nebraska who was going to advocate for me, but she was... Some people understand autism from one point of view. The point of view of a parent with an autistic kid who's a pain in the ass, pardon my French. And when it's somebody like me who's 42 years old in a state of crisis over long-term abuse, that's a completely different scenario than your brat kid doesn't want to friggin' put a sucker in his mouth because he doesn't like the way that it feels when it touches his tongue. I do have sensory issues that are similar to that. I can't take a pill without gagging. So, I mean, it's not all textures, though, for me, like it is with some.
Yeah.
Anyway, federal, and that's the stuff that you're telling me also. It's stuff that I look up and I speak on my YouTube channel about. I want to thank you for verifying the stuff that I've looked up, because it really does get very concerning for me as an at-risk adult when the people that I'm calling have not followed the laws, haven't read the laws. Apparently, most of the people that I'm calling are completely untrained. So, I mean, you at least tried to understand that there are federal laws that are mandating this, and that abusing me in the way that I have been is wrong.
Yeah, and I advocate a lot in California at a state level. So there is the laws over. There's the federal law, and then there's the state law, and for you to receive services, and you're entitled for a caseworker.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is there anything else you guys need before I go?
Nope, that's it. That's it.
All right, you're a badass. Thank you, ma'am.
And
you too.
And thank you for reaching out to us, okay?
Yes, ma'am, you rock.
Thank you. You do too.
All right, let's see if I can figure out how to hang up on you. Oh, shit. Well, I hung up on her. I hit the mute button first, though, on the quiet it button first. I don't know who the fuck that lady was, but yeah. Yeah, this is one of the places they sent me to, Tillamook County Community Health Centers. If I'd have had a person to actually help me with this from the start, I wouldn't have had to go to any of these friends or family members. That's what we were working on before Tamara quit, was getting me an actual case manager, somebody who's actually supposed to do it and work with APS, not sending me to these mental health places. This is so fucked. Like, that prevents the victim from being able to turn it in right away. That creates a safety risk and a safety issue for the victim right away. That person is voiceless, or sorry, nameless, which means that their voice doesn't do us a whole lot of good. But at least it's said, and at least it's from that number, and at least it's recorded. I shouldn't have ever had to go to cowards. I shouldn't have ever had to require people to talk to me like I'm a person. Part of that is the fact that if I don't set those boundaries, they're gonna walk all over me. If I don't say, hey, you gotta talk to me like a person, and you have to be able to listen, that is probably that is the most important. You know, it's more important than being all gung-ho about sending me to 400 places. Shutting up and listening. Now that's 2 people in a row that we've called that actually listened. One of them was the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The other one here is 988, but as we know, most of the time 988 is useless as tits on a boar. Bridges to Health Pathways. This is in the Dalles. The last time I tried to explain that I was calling them as a crisis line, it was completely dehumanizing. When you're sent to a crisis line and that's all they want to push, it's fucking horrible. When you're bullied to the point that you want your life to end, you don't need help ending your life. You need help stopping the bullies. If you've exhausted every resource and you're begging people to kill you, well, that shows those people that you're begging to kill you that they have already dehumanized you to the point that you are afraid to ask them for anything else. And in every one of my cases, it's the dehumanization of talking over me, of diminishing and dismissing what I'm going through. And people don't stop to understand that, or how hurtful it is, or the fact that when somebody is in a state of crisis, that's the wrong fucking thing to do. Especially when it's someone who has communication difficulties. Every interruption is going to increase their communication disabilities. Every interruption makes those disabilities pop out that much greater. That's why I used to just get the fuck away from people if they wanted to argue. I'll go somewhere else, no fucking problem. I'll come back when you're in a less argumentative mood. I got an older brother named Eric Christopher Schwartz who thinks he's always fucking right. I got a mom named Angela K. Wade who thinks she's always fucking right. I got a dad named Brian David Schwartz, and, well, he thinks he's always fucking right. I have never seen those three people in a room together, thank God, because Eric doesn't get along with anyone, and my mom and dad don't get along with each other. Y'all need to stop assigning horrible shit to autism. See, here's the thing about the autism thing. It's not the autism that's the issue. It's your assumptions of autism, your assumptions of us stemming, your assumptions of us being different. Now, these federal mandates that she's talking about, it's federal. I already knew that. I've already called those places. The 2 federal lines that I called told me to get a hold of the FBI. Danica Garner was also encouraging me to talk to the FBI. I was trying. People need to really look at how badly they gaslighted me. The thing is that the communications between myself and Danica Garner and God, what's Natalie's other ex-stepmother's name? I know it's not dumb count. Rochelle Shelley Campbell. You know, our communication shows that she would literally get a hold of me right before a Facebook ban was over. Both of those women. Literally the day before a Facebook ban was over. And then I couldn't reach them. The very next day, they couldn't be reached. While I'm taking abuse. While they're promising they're going to do things that they're not. Well, they're not keeping their words. And the fact that it was like clockwork. Right before I'd get off the Facebook ban, one of them dumb cunts would type to me some pretty shit and invite me to go do something and then fucking ignore me and then, oh, I'm sorry I didn't see it. That's the fucking problem. These are fucking junkies. There is no way that anybody with half a fucking brain is going to look at the evidence and fucking take anybody else's side. I am that goddamn confident. That lady we just got done recording, speaking from 988, she was not a complete and total fucking useless goddamn twat. Lady from the National, Domestic Violence Hotline. Again, not a completely useless fucking twat. Why were these 2 women not completely useless fucking twats? Because they listened to understand and they started speaking when they were cued that it was their turn. That first lady, I already knew what she was going to say. I was just hoping that she would listen. I was hoping that she would listen because most of the time, they listen extremely well. Extremely well. And also, they send you to the best resources. Just unfortunately sent to a bunch of stuff I've been to already. I'll have to go back through the video and try to find the one part where she talks about that in 2-hour video. And I gotta try to remember which video it was in, which takes time and takes some effort. I gotta scroll through it on my actual computer because it puts the videos with videos from similar dates. So I can scroll through and I can see some of the bushes in some areas where I'm going, all right, that's behind the Winco Foods on 72nd in Tacoma. And that'll let me know that a lot of the stuff that happened with Schneider and with those thieves up there stealing my shit. Yeah, they're homeless, I'm homeless. You think there's some mutual respect there, but no, they're fucking addicts. Between catching child molesters and getting their fix, they want to get their fix. Even if it means that the people that rape your fucking kids get away. You know what else, though? As much shit as I want to talk on those addicts in Tacoma, the police were fucking useless. I got my evidence back because of fucking meth addicts. Thank goodness. Them and Paulina Florentine, who's out of commission. She might have died. I don't know. If anybody can take a look at the evidence and not realize how superhuman an effort I've been capable of making through this hell, how hard I've tried just to get heard, and to do so without an advocate. I can't get an advocate to advocate for me unless I've got a friend or family member who understands my disabilities and helps to explain them. That's the advocacy I need from a friend or family member. I need your help explaining to them so they can get it initiated and started. When they send me around in circles here, they know exactly what they're doing. That goes for the cops here in Tillamook. That goes for the ones in the Dalles, Oregon and Hood River. Also, when it comes to an at-risk adult in a state of crisis like this, like, I should have never been victimized into a state of crisis. I should have never been without a caseworker. When I'm assaulted, I have to go to somebody, a friend or family member, for help. Since I don't have one, I have to go to a caseworker. I had people that were supposed to be caseworkers and supposed to be advocates who didn't lift a fucking finger. Or they wanted to redirect me into another direction or blow me off and procrastinate and change what their job is. Penny Cooper needs to be investigated. So does Marcia Estrada. Why didn't Marcia come forward? Because it was Penny Cooper's job. That's why Marcia Estrada didn't come forward. It was Penny Cooper's job. However, when Marcia Estrada knew that Penny Cooper wasn't doing that, she told me that she would speak with Penny Cooper, and Penny Cooper did literally the same thing. She does not have the right to privacy in her position. She does not have the right to lie to the fucking victims. Now, why is it that I can't post up everything with Penny Cooper? Because she's got access to all of my private information. In those videos, I have to find a place where I can sit down with those videos with my complete lack of fucking editing skills and try to figure out how to fucking bleep that one little part out that's got the numbers on it or that has other people's numbers or addresses on it. But also, fuck all those people. I tried keeping them safe. I tried keeping their names safe. What did that do? It resulted in them having the opportunity to fucking stab me in the back. Tamara was trying to help so that I could have some protections from these fucking predators. Tamara got to see actual fucking threats and harassment by fucking Tim Beeson. She wasn't just real nice, she was really honest. She said, Sean, I'm quitting my job because my son's autistic. I already knew that. That's one of the first things she let me know about herself. She said, I gotta make sure that he's prepared for the world, so I'm quitting my job. But I'm making sure that the paperwork is going through for you. I'm making sure that it's all set up and ready and going through for you before I quit. And she fucking kept her word. Something that Brenda Dickinson couldn't do. Couldn't keep her word. Something that Laura Nelson couldn't do. She couldn't keep her word. Something that Kara Heller couldn't do. And Jeff Ritter couldn't do. And Nicole Peralta couldn't do. Something that Jen Beebe couldn't do. You know, I focus mostly on the ass wipes in Colorado and Nebraska for a fucking reason. Yeah, they fucked up in Chesapeake, Virginia. The cops fucked up. The hospital fucked up. The Bollingers fucked up. But you know what? Everybody fucks up. It's when you're gonna fucking try to destroy somebody's life or play fucking retarded because you fucked up that you start committing the felonies. A lot of people are mad at me because I told the truth. Well, they shouldn't have fucking committed felonies. By the way, I not only admitted to my felonies, I fucking showed proof of my felonies. I showed proof that even after having protection orders against me, I bought an 80% AR-15 kit. I only posted up one of those so far. I could literally post up at least half a dozen of those, all gun parts. And ammunition. What good does a background check do? I mean, even with this guy knowing well enough that I got protection orders against me, he didn't say this to me until after I'd worked on his fucking space gizmo gun. Because see, at first it was, oh, well, I need it for plainkin. I need it because I got gophers. I need it because I got groundhogs out at the farm. I need it because there's prairie dogs. Fucking, he needed it for something. He wanted to go out and fucking shoot little animals with it. But then the way that he's handling it, the fact that he's putting on fucking gloves every time he touches it, the fact that he shows up at fucking random, makes it difficult to start a recording. Now, when it was his gun, you know, just his gun, not the parts or any of that I had to buy. When it was just his gun, he was the nicest guy. Then when I broke part of his gun, and I did, I legit broke part of it. But then there's the part that he was claiming I broke, and I don't think I broke that. But you know what? I didn't have the fucking tools. Maybe I did. Maybe there was a stress fracture in it that I created by taking it apart the way that I did because I had to pry it funky. So yesterday, I posted up proof of that. Yeah, I gotta fucking go through and dig for this fucking stuff. Some of it's buried by literally years. Years of other shit that I gotta go through. I was like, see, right here, evidence. My name on it. Dallas Richmond's fucking address on it. It states on there what it is that I bought. Now that guy, after I broke his gun, it was fucking immediate. Like, he went out, fucking went shooting, and fucking came back the next day with a busted gun. I mean, it was that fucking quick. Dude, I fucking told you I wouldn't have fucking shot it. I wouldn't have fucking fired the gun. I told him, dude, I don't want to fucking mess with it. Now, the weird thing to me is that this gun that he's bringing to me, broken and in fucking pieces, showing it to me, I'm like, dude, I'll give you the money for a new one. I'll give you the money for a new one. Oh, it's a DPMS. All right, you got a Panther Arms firearm. So do I. I did anyway. It wasn't an AR-15. It was a DPMS fucking BB gun. It didn't fire bullets. It fired BBs. Now, that guy was insistent that I had to buy him a new gun and fucking fix it all up because his whole gun was trashed. Well, then he's got this fucking wish list. I get the AR-15 fucking kit to fucking fix it up, make it all fine and dandy. It was the fucking lower receiver that was busted on his. Shit, he could have fucking bought the lower receiver and machined it himself. No problem. Dude's on a fucking farm. He got tools and shit in a fucking shop on a farm. If you're gonna tell me you live on a farm without those things, you don't live on a fucking farm. You live at a rental. Forcing neurotypicals. For you guys to force neurodivergent people who are generally honest people to have to deal with a bunch of people who are generally dishonest. See, that's the part that we don't understand. We don't understand why you say one thing and do another. And then you pick whichever one is the lesser of two evils and you get busted. There's always some excuse that I'm supposed to understand, while you make excuse after excuse after excuse not to understand, not to listen, not to comprehend. When that guy was blackmailing me to make him an illegal AR-15, I was like, fuck this. Fuck this. This son of a bitch is going down. Gonna fucking threaten me with your friend, the fucking sheriff? Not happening. So I got a hold of Meg Misgatus. She was fucking useless. Wanted to give me illegal advice. Telling me to do illegal things. Now, as a result of that, that guy got to keep on fucking blackmailing me. I had to keep on buying fucking gun parts. Meanwhile, I got to fix and service the other guns that people already fucking paid for. So, of course, I get their guns finished and out the door. Everybody gets their gun. Wendell McPhee gets his .22 long rifle back. I didn't even have to gunsmith that. I didn't have to do a damn thing to Wendell McPhee's gun. I didn't have to order any parts. I didn't have to order any tools. All I had to do with that thing was go out and take it shooting and see if it was straight. Fuck yes. That goddamn thing. I could probably, with a scope on that fucking cricket, I'm venturing to say, open sights on that cricket. I could probably shoot a bottle cap off of a bottle at 50 yards every time without fail. I mean, it's that fucking accurate. But then there's stuff like, of course, Sandy Fromm, she's got her dad's old guns from the Marine Corps, and she's wanting to know about those, and this, and that, and the other, and the ammunition fucking shortage. And of course, I bought what she wanted, and she said, well, I didn't really want it. I was just, trying to engage in conversation. But if you're going to engage in conversation, don't ask somebody to get something. But I figured, well, you know what, it's already ordered. I'll sell all these 30 caliber carbine. It's a World War II round. I'll sell these fucking 30 caliber carbines somewhere. Either that or somebody in town's probably from the Marine Corps. Somebody in town probably has a heritage rifle from the Marine Corps. Somebody in town could probably use 500 rounds in bandoliers. But people don't get that stuff is fucking expensive. It's expensive for me to do that stuff for people who make promises. It's also expensive because, see, my actual customers actually pay. Sandy Fromm didn't pay shit. She just demanded it in exchange for, we'll get into that later. She wanted her guns fixed. She wanted some stuff done with some saddles that I'm not capable of doing, first of all. She wanted to do something with saddle soap, and this is a different method for me. Mink oil is a different thing. It's for a different type of climate. If you're in the Midwest or down south, you probably want to use saddle soap. If you're anywhere north of Montana, you probably could use saddle soap, but you should use mink oil. Mink oil is going to darken your saddle, though. If you want to keep your nice, pretty, pristine saddle looking nice, pretty, and pristine, you got to use saddle soap. Now, this big old long-winded story is about to come to an end. The thing is that guy, when he wanted me to order the gun parts and wanted to blackmail me into getting the gun parts, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the internet, on YouTube, on Facebook about the ATF showing up at people's doors for buying 80% gun kits, 80% AR-15 kits in specific. So what did I do? I get a government card. I have a direct express card from the government. Okay, that's what I have. That's what I work with. It's also a government card. Like, you would think of all of the cards, all of the fucking, what do you call those? All the credit cards that you could possibly have. The one that they would red flag the easiest is your government direct express payment card. This is what you get paid your disability on. But they didn't red flag it. Meanwhile, I continued to let Megan Mistigatus know. The second time I called her, I'm like, this dude's making me make an illegal fucking gun. Meg, I need help turning this in. The dude's trying to blackmail me. But no, she didn't want to fucking listen. Next thing I know, it's months down the fucking road. His rifle's fucking complete. He's fucking insisted that I order other stuff because his rifle's not exactly how he wants it. He's wanting to tell me I gotta get this and I gotta get that. I gotta have the Echo 2 trigger. Okay, I'll fucking look it up. I gotta have this and I gotta have that. Fucking, I ordered the off-brand ones of some of the shit that he wanted. It didn't fucking fit, and he didn't want it because it was the off-brand. And it was at that point, he's handling it with his fucking gloves. He wants to have it in a place where we both have access to it. And it was for a little bit of time. But no, fucking Megan Mistigatus couldn't do her job. She couldn't do something so simple as to understand that I don't want to make an illegal firearm. I don't want to spend all my money on an illegal firearm. Don't make me fucking do it. Don't make me fucking do it. So then I had to try to find a way to turn in fucking Scott DaCosta, still. And then he fucking assaults me. I'm like, fuck, this is fucking bullshit. So then, of course, I get a room. I'm finally able to sit down with my evidence and get all my evidence put together. And Megan Misgatis is finally going to stop arguing and help me to do this. And she's talking about how she's put together a dream team to help me for the week. On day 2, I get fucking arrested on false goddamn charges. Fucking pieces of shit. Then, of course, I gotta try to get that evidence organized and get it turned in. I gotta try to get that gun turned in. So I got that gun sitting underneath the bed at that hotel room in Sydney, Nebraska. I got all the evidence out throughout the room trying to get it organized, which I was never able to do at Dallas's. I was able to somewhat organize it when I was in low income, but there was a lot of fucked up shit going on, like people who were offering to help me disappearing from Beaverton, goddamn Oregon. Y'all are pieces of shit. On the bright side, at least you fucking recognize it. You showed that by hiding like fucking rats. I didn't ask to be part of the criminal underworld. Those are the only people who ever accepted me. Natalie loved me and I loved her. We were friends, and that should have been okay. We were both consenting adults. We weren't consenting to sex. We weren't consenting to dating or getting married. We were consenting to friendship. But you guys want to pretend that because she didn't get what she wanted and she wanted to fucking flip out like a druggy whore, that I'm a fucking evil stalker for begging for help.